Good morning, Metalheads Unit. Welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown, and today we're looking at the debut album from Smoulder, entitled Times of Obscene Evil and Wild Daring. What a fucking epic title, may I add. Not surprising, considering this is epic doom metal from my own hometown of Toronto, Ontario. Y'all know I can't fucking say no to fucking Canadian heavy metal, let alone from fucking Toronto, boy! I've actually heard a lot about this album in these last few weeks. A lot of people have been telling me about this album. My girlfriend, Heart of Diana, who's been on Metal Meltdown a couple of times, has talked with me a lot about this band, about this album, and for some reason I never quite bothered to seek it out. I don't really know why. I guess because I was doing other things. I don't know, shitty excuse, but that's all I got for you. And maybe it's because just I have a problem with doom metal in general. You know, I like doom, don't get me wrong, but generally speaking, I prefer faster paced music, so I don't necessarily always want to deal with the slow, dredging doom of, well, slow, dredging doom, which is something that doom metal, for me at least, doesn't usually do. Granted, again, it helps that it's Canadian, but still. And I'm so happy that that was the case, because I'm happy to report that this debut album from Smoulder is one of the best doom releases of the year and one of the best metal albums of the year. I am completely floored. The quality of this thing is just astonishing. For the first time in a while, I'm hearing an epic doom record that legitimately feels epic, and not just in lyrical content, alright? I mean, yeah, they talk about swords and dragons and big battles and such, but the scope of the record is huge. They're big, gigantic riffs. The vocals are powerful and in-your-face and haunting. Lead singer Sarah Ann, also a banger TV, may I add, legitimately sounds like a sword-wielding warrior queen leading a fucking demon army into battle. The drums crash like thunder, the bass is deep and earthy, and the mid-pace emphasizes all of those great notes, and flows well enough that I really didn't even notice the pacing. And again, for me, that's kind of a big deal. Like, the only time I start to pay any attention to the pacing of the record is probably once we get to about Shadowy Sisterhood, the 5th track on the record. But I'm still 100% in. I'm still fully involved with this record, particularly with these first 3 tracks, which I think are truly doom metal perfection. Take, for instance, opening track Ilian of Gorathorn. Probably not pronouncing that correctly, but bear with me. With its thick, daunting riffs backed up by war cries and rallying chants of "Raise your banner! Let's do this! Your sword will be covered in blood!" With some really great, tasteful twin guitar solos and leads later on in the track, giving it that little extra push, that little extra spice. I love the Sword Woman as well. This particular song just conjures a lot of great imagery in my mind. Like, every time I hear this, I picture a Wonder Woman-esque warrior standing on top of a pile of corpses, and she raises her sword in the air, and like lightning strikes the hilt of the sword, and you can see it echoing through the sky. And that's not me stretching, that is absolutely what Smoulder want you to envision, to the point where that is arguably on the album cover itself. Mind you, there's no lightning, but it's the same general gist. Like, if Manowar ever decided to go into the realm of doom metal, it would probably sound a lot like this, to be fully honest with you. And just when I think I'm starting to notice the pacing of this record, in comes Bastard Steel with its battering ham double bass drums and its massive no-wobblum-style melodies and chants. As I noted before, it is around this point where I did start to notice the pacing of the record, and I personally did find it a little slow for my own personal liking, but also I was still in this thing 100%, and I actually love where the album ends on the 9-minute epic closer, Black God's Kiss, showcasing, I would say, one of the band's most dynamic and thunderous arrangements, as well as some of Sarah's biggest vocals on here. The aesthetic and sound mix of the record is great too. I mean, these guys are 100% serious. They're all about swords and monsters and big fights, and that's represented in their music, and they're also dedicated to the classic sound of those classic records that also talk about swords and monsters and big epic fights. In fact, it noticeably has a super authentic 80s metal sound with a lot of reverb and a lot of big howled vocals. I love it personally. I mean, the whole album just feels larger than life. It honestly even feels like an epic doom gem pulled out of the late 80s that we've only recently uncovered. Hell, believe it or not, I'm actually going to go for 4.5 out of 5 on this. I really love this record. It's so well written, so well performed. It sounds authentic, it feels authentic, it's larger than life and epic and just an all-around super fun record to sink your teeth into. It's not doing a whole lot new for the world of doom metal, but the combination of influences and sounds and ideas here is still, it feels unique to Smoulder, at least for me. Keeping in mind, I am not the foremost authority on doom metal, or for that matter, epic doom. But with that in mind, I would argue it's even more impressive that this record managed to grab me. The only doom metal in these last few years that's really grabbed my attention like this would probably be Chemist, some of the stuff from Spirit Adrift as well, the most recent Candlemass record. Everything else has been pretty hit and miss. I highly recommend this thing. If you're new to doom metal, I think this album does a great job at showing you just how big and epic and exciting this genre can be. And if you're a veteran of the genre, you're frankly just going to have a fun time. This is an album you're going to pop a beer to, and you're going to sit around and chill to, and you're going to bang your fucking head, and all is going to be good. The hype is real on this one, folks. It's a seriously incredible record. It's only been out for a little bit. I'm already super excited to replay it, and as I noted before, super excited to grab it on vinyl. 4.5 out of 5. An incredible record. So incredible that if I were in a doom metal band myself, I would be keeping a very close eye on Smoulder. They are going to be the ones to watch in the future. I can see it already. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe to get updates on Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.